Hello, Mr. Cove here with my inaugural YouTube video. Just want to preemptively say thanks to the 0 to 2 people who end up watching this. Hopefully you guys got something out of it, and I appreciate it. Okay, let me just go over a little bit of a preamble on why I'm making my first YouTube video here. I'm an old gamer. I've played all kinds of games. Past couple of years, I've played mostly ARPGs. Diablo 4, Last Epoch, PoE 1 and 2. But as a little kid, I did play Sid Meier's Pirates, and I loved that game. So when I heard about Skull and Bones years ago, I was excited to eventually play that when it came out. Came out last year or so to bad reviews, so I didn't check it out at that time. A few weeks ago, I was kind of done with the Diablo season. New seasons for the other games I was playing aren't coming out until later in August here, so I thought I'd just check out the PlayStation Store and see what I could find there. Saw Skull and Bones for like $6-7. I was like, oh, great. I can check that out for cheap, see if it got any better over the last year and a half whenever it came out. Took a little bit of time to get into it, but after that I was hooked, and I've been playing it pretty much non-stop for the last few weeks. Having a ton of fun with it. Now, normally when I play a new game or there's new season for game I'm playing, I do like to listen to YouTube videos while I'm at work. Type of videos I like are beginner guides if it's a new game, stuff going over game mechanics, questions that I may not even think to ask, stuff like that. Just little tips and stuff. Maybe I watch a couple videos and I hear some things I didn't know, and I'm slightly better at the game. Not usually interested in build guides and stuff like that, or chasing the meta, or playing the strongest build or whatever. I kind of just like to know how the game works, and then I can figure it out from there. So this video is more geared for those type of people. I'm not going to show you what best ship and build to use and stuff like that. It's more of just so you kind of understand the game. And I do like to play efficiently, even if I'm not trying to play the strongest and best thing at any given time. I do want my time to be valuable. So while I'm playing, I want to at least know what's efficient. I may not always be doing that because, let's face it, it's running the same thing over and over. It can get boring. But when you do want to be efficient, you want to understand how the game works and know what to do if you need to farm for something that you need to upgrade a ship or whatever. It's nice to know how everything works, and that way you can make educated decisions about both your ship and how you're playing the game. So that's what this video is going to be about. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So first of all, what I would suggest, we're at the den here. It's the starting point den at St. Anne. We're going to go over to the shipwright. And what we're going to want to do here is basically figure out what ship we think we're going to be interested in, and what we're going to hopefully be bringing up to max level, which is level 15 right now. Now, if you're playing a ship and it's not doing it for you, by all means, make a new one. But just know that is going to set you back. You have limited resources when you're starting, so it's really best to kind of look through this list here, decide what looks fun for you, and kind of go with that. And again, if it's not working, don't just grind through a ship you don't like. Go ahead and make a new one. But just know that that's going to set you back, and if you keep doing that, then you are going to progress slower. So the top here is small ships. I would not suggest investing into these. They do have their advantages, and they can be upgraded, but they are limited. They do have the weapon slot called the auxiliary slot, which can be very important, that they don't have for weapons. But they are fast. They are nice for going through rivers and stuff. And again, they can be upgraded pretty high. It's just I would go with a medium ship. Now, what you want to look at here are the perks. You see the ship type here. We'll look at this one first, the bark. Medium ship, support. And you kind of see what that means here. They have 3 different types of archetypes for ships, but really that is just kind of a baseline of what they are. The perks are really the important thing about ships. So a support ship is going to have some sort of perks that help with healing, either themselves and others or just others. And DPS ships are going to have some sort of perks that benefit from certain weapon damage types or certain weapons or whatever. So you want to look through these. These are the really important things. So you see here, this perk helps you both repair your damage and other ships just passively. And then as you upgrade them, they do get other perks, but basically you can just look at this to get kind of an idea of what the base of the ship is meant to be. Now, you can build your ship however you want. For example, I do have a bark fully upgraded. You know, I can just go solo content with that. And, you know, its weapons are still going to do a lot of damage, and you're going to be able to, you know, tank some things. It just, the perks are telling you what it's better at and, you know, what it's going to have an advantage with. So, you know, just kind of look at that and find what's looking good for you. You know, again, you can make a new ship if you want to, but I would spend some time looking at this to try to make your first choice end up being the ship you stick with until you get it maxed out. Now, there is a large ship. This is the frigate. This came out this season. This can be your second ship, but it is locked behind basically the battle pass halfway through before you even get the blueprint to make it, and then the upgrade material is also mostly farmed through in-game content. So I have one of these. It's a great ship, but you know, it would have to be your second ship. You're not going to be able to really get there initially with your first ship. So so go through this. After you've made your choice, go ahead and build that. And then I want to show you a couple other things here. So if you wanted to upgrade a ship, you do it from here, and this is going to show you the materials you need, silver, whatever. And then once you start to upgrade it, you will get to another currency type called Pieces of 8 that we'll go over shortly. But as you are leveling this up, the materials are going to, you know, escalate there. So if you do end up not liking a ship initially and you want to reroll, better do it sooner rather than later, because once you upgrade these, you know, it is going to get more expensive with each upgrade, and if you end up switching that ship out, you know, you're going to be a loss of some materials there at some time. Now that doesn't mean that ship's going to be worthless, because you can use it even if you're not playing it. It can have some value later as well for picking up shipments and stuff. So we'll go over that in a little bit. Let's go over here now. This is kind of a little bit farther into the game, but I just want to go over this real quick. Once you get to the point where you're able to unlock Tier 2, this is World Tier 2. Basically, when you're going through the game, let me open up the map real quick and show you guys. So this is kind of your starting point, your the main den here. You'll get to the point where you're at the second den. This is kind of where you're going to operate most of the time in one of these two places. But in World Tier 1, basically, you know, kind of the surrounding area is going to be lower level, right? And then you're going to have quests that take you further out, and you're going to go through, and the ship levels and stuff are going to escalate with you. Now, once you have the ability to unlock Tier 2, which is done over here, you're going to do a quest. Once you do that, you have the ability to go to World Tier 2. What that's going to do is normalize basically the world for you. So instead of all of this being, you know, level 1 and 2 ships now, because it's right outside the starting point, the minimum level is going to be 12. And basically all the difficulty is kind of scaled up to that point where you're getting rewards that, you know, more match your ability at that point. Once you get to World Tier 2, you're really not going to want to go back. So what I would suggest, if you want a second ship or a third ship or whatever, the most efficient way to do that is to just go ahead and build and upgrade that ship with the materials that you're getting by staying in World Tier 2 with your first ship or whatever. It's not like an ARPG where you start a new character and you're starting from level 1 and you want to go play that character and level it up. Now, you can certainly do that if that sounds fun to you. By all means, whatever's most fun, you go with that. But if you want to be efficient about it, ships don't have like experience. You don't actually have to play them to level them up. The leveling is done at the shipwright, like I showed you before, and then it's also based on the equipment that it's carrying. So let's go over that real quick. There are 7 levels of upgrades, or I guess you start at level 1, so you'd upgrade it 6 times to get it to max level. Let's go to manage ship here. It's the ship we're using right now. And now you're going to have weapons, first thing. So you kind of see these dots under it. These are for ascension things, and this is kind of the biggest thing about World Tier 2, is that you're going to get weapons that are ascended dropping just from doing normal content and whatever, and these are very important for progressing your account and your ship. So you see a kind of a rating there at 114. They're all kind of similar here. So those ratings are going to add to your ship. You kind of see at the bottom right there, it says level 15. That's the max right now, so that bar is not going to go past that point. But this is going to contribute towards the level of your ship, and it's also, just going to have stronger weapons that do more damage. Your armor here also has a rating, so that rating is going to affect your the level of your ship. And then you're going to further customize it with what they call furniture. And these are, you have a major furniture here. You can only have one of, and this is, further kind of defines what we're doing. So for example, I have a lot of fire and flooding damage on my ship. So what this does is increases the duration by 100% for those, but the damage it's doing is 20% left. So it's kind of a trade-off there, but it's trying to keep those status effects on longer, and so that's kind of what I've emphasized on this ship. And then you're going to have minor furniture that you can further customize your ship with, defense, offense, ship acceleration, bonuses to certain type of weapons, whatever you kind of want to do. But you see those ratings there. That's 25, this is 35. So that's going to also add to your ship level. And so that's basically how your ship level is determined. You have the upgrade level for the ship itself, and then all the weapons, armor, and furniture is going to have ratings, and that's going to add up to your ship level. Now, your ship level is more than just a representation of kind of your power level. It's also affects how you interact with other ships and towers or whatever. So for example, if you're level 10 and you're fighting another level 10 enemy, you're basically going to do even damage, and they're going to do even damage to you. Now if you were only level 9 and they were level 10, now you're going to be doing less damage to them, even if you're using the exact same weapon, and they're going to be doing more damage to you. Now, I don't know exactly how this math works, but just understand that system is in place. So your ship level matters more than just showing that you've put a bunch of good equipment on it or upgraded it. It's actually affecting the gameplay out in the world as well. So the higher your ship level, the better as far as that goes. And again, level 15 is kind of the max. And since there isn't experience for the particular ships, you see how to upgrade this. You just put the stuff on it and upgrade the ship level. You could actually make a new ship, as your second ship, and upgrade it all the way to level 15 before you even take it out for the first time. So, and doing that, you would be able to do, and stay in World Tier 2 and do all the content right away. And again, that may not be fun for you. Maybe you want to start playing it at level 10 or level 1 or whatever you want to do. You can certainly do that, but just know that, the ship level is going to affect a lot about what you're capable of, and that it doesn't require you playing to the actual ship to increase that. It's just the equipment that it has on it and the upgrade level that affects that. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's go over what you should actually be doing once you've picked a ship, decided the perks on it look fun. What should I be doing? You're going to want to do main quests, and that kind of seems like a no-brainer. But there are a ton of side quests available, especially in the dens here. And I had watched a couple videos suggesting that you just take all the side quests that you can, and that there's no limit to the number you can have. And then, if you don't even have to like try to do them, if you just happen to do them while you're, completing your main quest, all the better, right? Like World of Warcraft, where you gather up 20 quests, and then you're kind of doing them next to each other, maybe some overlap, and then you have all of this additional quest done by taking all the side quests. That sounded good. I tried that. One, that's not how it works. The side quests, or just your quests in general, do have a limit. I'm not sure what that limit is. It's got to be like 15 or 20 or something. So you can't have 100 side quests and just pick up everything that you want and then just hope you accidentally complete them. That's not going to work. Two, a lot of the side quests have steps, and this could mean that once you're like a step or two into the quest, and you may have not even realized that you're working on that particular quest, so you just grabbed it and didn't read it. Now you can't get rid of that quest because you're already starting it, and that quest may spawn additional ships all the time that's trying to stop you from completing the quest, for example. And so now you're kind of committed to, you want to go complete that quest so these ships aren't jumping you at all times. So there can actually be a negative to just grabbing all these side quests and kind of just hoping you accidentally complete them, and then you're like, well, any side quest you complete is just bonus, right? Well, not really. And the rewards for these are extremely low. They really haven't tweaked these, at least the starting quests, and a lot of them aren't intuitive as far as how to complete them. For example, you could have a quest that wants you to kill enemies, maybe a specific enemy, with a culverin, right? And you're like, oh, I'm already using that weapon, so great. I'm just going to get it done automatically while I'm already, doing my main quest or whatever. Well, it turns out it wanted a specific culverin, like a culverin 1, which was crappier than what you had. So now you have to go equip a bad weapon and go do that quest, right? And you might not figure that out, initially, like, why are you not completing this? And there's all kinds of stuff like that with these side quests. So, like I said, initially I thought it was a good idea. It sounded good, having played other games and just loading up on the quests and then completing a bunch at once. That sounded great. In practice, it didn't work out, and honestly, I would rather have not even accepted half the quests because, again, you'd start doing them and then not be able to delete them. And maybe you see a quest that you actually want to do, and you can't take that because you're full on quest or whatever. Yeah, just don't do it. Maybe when this game first came out and people were giving that advice, one, maybe there was no limit on the quests, which made it better, and two, maybe these quests were tweaked, back then to be better. Or more likely, the rest of the game was tweaked, and those side quests were never really brought up because, people already did them. They just didn't worry about it anymore, right? So that happens with a lot of games where you just have old content that's not, kind of tweaked with the rest of the game as it's, being iterated on, improved, whatever. So that's certainly what I found with side quests. So just don't bother, unless there's something specific like a cosmetic you want, and you see that, and you're like, oh, I want to do that. Yeah, by all means, go do that one. But just, as a general concept of just grabbing them all and then getting more completed at once, it's not really how it works. But I didn't find that to be helpful at all. Okay, let's go over kind of the experience. Again, we don't have ship experience, so that's not what I'm talking about here. This is account experience, and this is going to be Infamy. Now, this used to also be what contributed towards like the battle pass and stuff. They've separated this now to have Infamy go towards your account level, and then they call it Smuggler's Points, which are separate, that go towards your battle pass. Now, they just separated that this season, and their logic behind that was they want to be able to, tweak one thing without tweaking the other, or just have two different levers for two different things. So that made sense. The season start, apparently they had the Smuggler's Points tweaked much further down than they would have liked. So they've adjusted that throughout the season here. But that was resulting in people not progressing their battle pass as quickly as previous seasons, because it used to be locked to Infamy. Now what Infamy is going to do is basically give you your account levels. You're going to get rewards for continuing to level up. Eventually at level 10 you get Kingpin. That unlocks some new content that you definitely want to get to, and your main story quests are going to give you the most Infamy. So that's really what you want to focus on. I wouldn't worry about smuggler points. You're just going to passively get them from doing content. I wouldn't chase after them. We will look at this menu a little bit later. It'll kind of show you if there is something interested in the battle pass. For example, if you want to build the frigate, that blueprint is locked within the battle pass, and you may want that as your second ship, and so you want to get that blueprint quicker. Basically you want to do challenges and stuff to get more smuggler points, and I'll show you where that is. You can just kind of see what's going to give you massive amounts of smuggler points to progress your battle pass. But as far as just playing normally, I wouldn't worry about it. It's just something you're going to get, and then your Infamy is the important thing, and again that's going to be gained the most by doing the main quest. You're going to get giant chunks of that. So as you're going through your main quest, it's going to unlock additional content, and it's also going to give you levels, and each level for quite a while you're going to get an email. Let's go over there. Let's see what we got here. You're going to get an email, and it's going to give you some rewards, and you're going to start to get a lot of sorry, still don't know these towns. You're going to start to get a lot of pieces of 8, which is another currency, just from getting levels, and this is going to be the largest chunk that you're going to be able to get early in the game. So again, just by doing those main quests, you're going to get kind of a very important currency for your upgrades just by leveling up. So focus on that. You're also going to unlock different parts of the game by going through the main story quest, so it's not something you'd want to skip, even if you just like doing side quests or whatever. You're going to be missing out on content by not doing that. So do your main quests all up to the point where you don't have any more, and let's kind of show where you would see that. The map screen here, you see journal. That is your list of quests, and so you see I have a main quest. This is actually a repeatable main quest. We'll go over that later. So I essentially don't have any main quests right now, but if I did, that's what I would want to be doing. So, all right. So after you get to Kingpin, you're going to start to unlock Manufactories. This is something that I would prioritize as a second priority while you're leveling up. You'll get it, a little bit later in the game. You won't see them initially, but along with your main quests, I would also be doing these. Now you see it says next opportunity here in about 19 minutes. These pop up on the hour and then in 20-minute integrals, and it always stays the same from what I've seen. So, like at 6 o'clock, 6:20, 6:40, and then again at 7. So you can kind of just look at the time and know when these are going to pop up, and then you'll see kind of like what an opportunity might be here. Anyways, these are factories that essentially you acquire by doing these, and they give you passive supplies. I focused on just having, let's just click on one here. I have all of my just giving pieces of 8. You can also have them do other materials. You see a couple listed there: cogwheel, wood tar. And you can even do the more advanced things like Synesy modules and upgrade parts if you want, and stuff like that. I've chosen not to do that. I think that would probably be better for people that don't play as often, so they just kind of want these passively being made for them. But if you play quite a bit, you're going to get, from what I can tell, basically all the parts that you'd want, or be able to acquire them pretty quickly if you get low on something. But the pieces of 8 are kind of a universal currency that you can use for everything. So you'd rather just have the cash, is what I'm saying, as opposed to a part that you may not end up needing, right? So I have all of my factories just making pieces of 8. But if you wanted to, you could have them make other materials, and there's a varying list on each of these. Now you start with, just go over this real quick. I'm going to make a video about this, going into more detail. It kind of needs its own video, but just let's look at it real quickly here. So basically, these are factories that you acquire. They passively make things for you, and this is apparently not going to be wiped again. It has been wiped in the past, where they've changed the systems and stuff and reset things. They said they're done doing that. This is not going to be reset anymore. So even between seasons, this stuff's not going to be reset. So whatever work you put into this, it's going to remain in the game for you for essentially forever. So this is an investment to get basically just passive materials made for you, for the long term. So that's why I'd put it as soon as it's available as a second priority. Now you can get up to 76 of these factories, which is all of them. It's not like you can only get 50 out of 100 or whatever on the map. You can get all of them that are on the map, but it does take some time, and you kind of want to be doing these, it says takeover opportunity, that's what they call them. Every 20 minutes I would be looking at that in between your main quests and doing these. And then let's just look at the upgrade tree. This looks a little overwhelming. It's not quite a Path of Exile tree, but it's got quite a bit in here. So you have the 3 factions over here, 3 factions over here, have some Helm stuff over here, which we'll go over later. And then you have the bottom of the tree that's basically helping you with your manufactories as well. So the reason I want to show you this tree real quick is just, again, if you just wanted the real basics on this and then want to watch a whole video on it, this will get you started. So you start with the ability to have 8 total factories, and then through this tree, you can up that all the way up to 76. So for example, there's the first node here, and all of these nodes on here require pieces of 8. So piece of 8 will be used to upgrade your ship, upgrade your weapons, and then basically here, or I'll also show you where you want to use that to actually just buy materials instead of farming for them. We'll go over that in a bit. But so these are the very important basic nodes here. You want these that give you the ability to have more of these. So what I would do is just kind of, when these opportunities appear, go back to this, they'll just have random ones. I'm not showing you anymore, but they'll have a few pop up on the map, and then what I would prioritize is the ones you don't have yet. So for example, if an opportunity popped up for this and you didn't own this yet, by doing that activity, and you can just fast travel to it as long as you're not in combat, and then you complete that activity, you now own that manufactory, and that's permanent. You're not going to lose it later. And so I would prioritize gaining as many of these as you can, so doing new ones. And then the second thing is this node down here. This allows doing those opportunities on manufactories that you already own. This allows you to up the level of the manufactory, which just increases their production, lowers the cost of production, stuff like that. And the levels are 1 to 5. So basically this can take you up to level 4. And otherwise, you could manually upgrade these, and the cost from 1 to 2 is 1,000, from 2 to 3 is 3,000, and then 3 to 5 or 3 to 4 is 5,000. So that's quite a bit that you can save just by doing the activities on existing manufactories. Now the default level, they start at 1, and then they can be upgraded to 2. In order to upgrade them past that, though, you need to go to each faction's tree here and upgrade these nodes. So you have this is upgrading it from 2 to 3. This brings it from 3 to 4. And then this last one brings it to 5. Now, in order to get it from 4 to 5, it doesn't work. This node does not work on that. You do have to manually do that, and that costs 10,000 pieces of 8. It does raise the production, and 10,000 is a lot, so it may take 6-7 months to actually get a return on that investment. But again, if you're going to play a while and this is a permanent feature of the game that's not going to be reset, eventually you're going to get your money back on any of these things that you spend. All right, and you do have to do that for each faction. So again, this is something I would work in with your main quests and upgrading your ship. Use your piece of 8 to upgrade your ship first and to acquire the materials to upgrade them, because then you're going to be able to do higher level content. You're going to get more stuff for your time. So that's the priority, but this should be kind of be the second priority, because again, you're kind of building this out over time. And so I would be doing that once it's available as a second priority. All right, what else should we be doing? Maybe we're done with the world quests, or the main quests. We're kind of getting towards the end game. What's best to do? Now, first of all, you should do whatever is most fun. So don't, think of it as I'm just going to grind the same thing over and over. That's going to get boring for anyone. But there are things that are more efficient than others. So if you're, trying to get a last upgrade of a ship, or get some more pieces of 8, or get some more, ascendancy modules, or whatever it is, there's going to be things that are more efficient than other activities. So it's just nice to know that, and then you can kind of prioritize, do I want to grind this thing 10 times in a row, or do I want to, just do this a couple times, do something else? At least you'll have the information to make those decisions and kind of balance the fun with efficiency. Okay, so this is the first thing I'm going to show you. This is only available in World Tier 2. This is kind of like a raid. This brings you to a new instance. Let's talk about that for a second. So if you're in a world, I believe there's 16 to 20 people in your server, right? And so any of these activities, you could run into other ships. You can also call for help if you're doing an activity. And so those are people that are just currently in your server when you connected, right? And they are separated by world tier, so you're not going to be having people that are in World Tier 1 playing with you in World Tier 2. It would be a separate server. So anyways, this is a raid that you queue up for. Now this is special because it brings you to a different instance. So I'm not going to do this because it'll probably just connect us instantly, being the time of day it is. But you hold down that square there, or whatever your button is on whatever platform you're playing on, and this starts, it puts you in the queue for this activity. Now, I'm not sure what the minimum level is for this, but honestly I would not do this unless you're level 15. You're just not going to. This is basically the hardest content in the game. This is the main way to upgrade your frigate, but it also is kind of the best at everything. Gives you the most weapons, it gives you the most Ascension modules, it gives you Masterwork kits, which are only available in World Tier 2, which you're going to need for upgrading your ship to kind of the final levels. So, maybe level 14 or 13 is okay, but I've seen like level 9s in there and they just get crushed. They're not contributing and, just being carried by the rest of the group. So I'd suggest not being one of those people. Try to have a ship that's capable of doing this to go in there. It's tough though, because this is the best way to get the material for upgrading your frigate. And if people are playing their frigate and they're only level 10 or whatever, and they want to play their frigate, they want to upgrade it, so they want to go do the thing that's going to let them upgrade their frigate, right? They don't want to go play their other ship to, upgrade the ship that they actually want to play. So I get it, but again, you're gonna get crushed if you go in there at a low level. So anyways, this queues up. This puts you in a new server. You could be doing other activities in the meantime while you're waiting to connect for this. Sometimes this will just connect, right away. Other times you might be waiting a few minutes. So if you want to go do something else, just be aware once this connects, though, you're going to be teleported to the new server within 5 seconds. So if you're, in the middle of a plunder or attacking an elite or something and you didn't quite finish, you're just out of that server now. You're not going to be able to finish it. So don't queue up for this if you're doing something that you really want to finish. All right, let's go back and look at this. All right, this is the Smugglers Network. This guy is in both of the main dens here, so he's going to have, well, they have separate item pools. So for example, if you wanted to buy stuff from him, this also applies to basically all the vendors, even though they might be duplicated in the other town. They do have separate things. So say I wanted to buy, I've already done this. What are we looking for here? All right, so deep iron. This is the main component for upgrading the frigate. Every week he has 10 of these. I've already bought them out for the week. This will reset tomorrow. And again, you could go to the other town and buy 10 from him as well. This has, these are called guild marks. So this is another currency. You have silver, piece of 8, guild marks. Guild marks are basically like a seasonal currency, and this will reset in between seasons. So if you've saved up 10,000 of these, that's just going to be zeroed out at the new season. So you don't want that to happen. Guild marks you do mostly in World Tier 2 by just doing activities. You get the most by doing the Woven Hall raid that I just showed you. But this guy also has quests, so that's really why I wanted to go here. But I just wanted to show you basically another currency that's available in the game. So right here we have this quest, which happens to do with Woven Hall. So we're going to accept that.
Mr. Tulin needs his business affairs in top order. Make sure you come back with
the last dev stream. I thought they said that this wasn't supposed to be a repeatable quest, but it was showing up. I've had this go up every half an hour, or whatever, and it's worth a lot, so I keep accepting it. But this makes doing Woven Hall much better. So let's look at these two. This gives 2,500 pieces of 8 and a purple weapon, which I've got a million of those. But anyways, you get that by just destroying ships while doing the raid. So essentially it's just 2,500 on top of what you're already going to get. And then this one also resets like every half an hour, gives you another 500. So right there you're getting 3,000 pieces of 8. And then for doing the raid itself, you're going to get 1,500. That doesn't require having these quests. It just requires completing the raid. And then the first elite guy that's part of the raid, essentially he spawns right in the beginning. Most people ignore him until they've gotten close to destroying the fort, but some raids they just try to kill him right away. But he'll drop like 600 pieces of 8 or something as well. So between all that, you're going to make over 5,000 pieces of 8 by doing that activity if you wait for these quests to pop and then do it at that time. And I've been doing that just because I don't want to run them back to back. The raid's not the most fun thing in the world to me. It's just this giant fort, and everybody needs to be shooting at the fort, killing the ships until eventually you win a town, and that can take between 10 to 30 minutes in some groups. Now, I haven't failed it recently, but in the first week that I was running this, there were some groups that were failing it. So that is a disadvantage to running this, that you could be in there for 20 minutes and end up not really getting anything because the raid failed. So I think that's mostly going to be from just low-level people connecting, and then also people just can disconnect from the raid. Now, I have connected to raids that have been a few minutes in, but I imagine there's a time point where they don't, if people have left that raid, they're not going to connect a bunch of new people to it, and most likely, have them fail too because it's already too far. There's a time limit where an armada shows up and it's 30 minutes, and then they're just immune to damage and kill everybody, and that's the end of the raid, right? So they probably don't want people having to deal with that. So there is a possibility of that you fail it. I think into this point of the season, it's unlikely. People are usually strong enough and know what they're doing. So even if you're new, you're going to be one of 20 ships, and you'll probably be fine. But again, try to bring a high-level ship in there so you're at least contributing towards completing it. All right. Next thing I want to show you is, I believe this was kind of the biggest thing previously. So this is a plunder, and as you can see, just by putting your cursor over it, you can kind of see what the possible loot is. Now, the way a plunder works is you go attack a town, or it could be something like a lumber yard or something as well, and there's going to be steps. And in this one, there's 7 different steps, but you're going to get about 2,500 pieces of 8 from completing this. And they're going to be trickling in through each step. So the first step, you have to destroy 3 ships and then get a chest, or now you have to kill part of the wall of the fort, and that'll spawn the next chest. And so these take a while, not as long as Wolvenall, but this is kind of the hardest plunder in the game right here. I've been able to do it with my frigate by myself, no problem, but the frigate's pretty tanky, so that may not be as easy with some of the other ships, or lower level people, or just people who don't have their builds locked in. So you can always call for help with this, but this was kind of previous season's biggest thing right before Wolvenall. So this gives a ton of stuff, and this isn't all that's listed here either. You're going to get Ascension models and upgrade parts and stuff like that as well. Alright, and then we talked about the manufactories, but I just want to kind of reiterate that you can get great value from doing this as well. So for example, so you're getting a 1,080 piece of 8 there. Now say if I was, this was a level 3 manufactory, by doing this I would be able to upgrade it to level 4, right? And the cost to me manually do that would be 5,000 pieces of 8. So you can kind of see that the value would be about 6,000 pieces of 8 just by doing this. And these take usually just a few minutes to complete. Basically, you have a percentage while you stay within the area by the little factory, and that keeps filling up. And then every ship you kill adds to that percentage. Killing towers adds even more. And then you get to 100%, so, but you could actually just survive in the area for like 5-6 minutes, not kill anything, and you'd still complete the objective and get the rewards there. So those are kind of like the 3 top most efficient things that I think are in the game right now. So if you're looking to be efficient for pieces of 8, Ascension models, just any kind of materials, these are going to be the best things to do. Alright, let's go over how we're going to prioritize our upgrading here. Alright, so let's go back to the shipwright.
Soon, Jack. Let me build you a ship.
Go to upgrade ships. Alright, let's just pick one out. You see how the level on the bottom is saying upgrade level goes from 2 to 3. So maybe it does start at level 0 and bring you up to 1. I don't remember exactly, but it goes up to 7. And this will bring the overall level of the ship up. At certain breakpoints, it might add another perk, which you'll be able to see. You can see like the upgrade preview here, and you'll see like little green stuff showing what's going up. So your upgrade level would go up. Yeah, this is adding a new perk here. It's increasing your speed. And then nothing else has really changed besides the upgrade rank in that, right? Now your ship level does matter. Again, there is math behind it. Your level compared to whatever level you're fighting, you're going to take damage penalties both ways, on receiving damage and putting out damage. So if you're a higher level, your damage is going to be normalized, just at your max. and then if you're fighting enemies that are above your level, they're going to be doing more damage to you. So upgrading your ship level is super important to be able to do harder content in the game. And then it's kind of the other spot where we would be
Moving up in the world, are you? How about you
upgrading our, let's go to ascend items here. Alright, so you see these dots below items. These mean that they have been ascended. And if you see like 1 out of 3 here, this just means that it's been ascended once, and it can go up to 3. Now there is an ascension quest that you will do, that you will run in by doing main story quests. It'll show up there, and that allows the ability to unlock this third one. You are able to unlock the first 2 before that. So this is something you can do to even lower level weapons and stuff that you feel like doing. Early though, ascension models and upgrade parts are not going to be very common, and it's kind of the biggest part of being in World Tier 2 that you're going to get weapons that drop that are already ascended. And now you may not want to use the weapon, but you can go to salvage, which I would suggest doing with any weapon you don't want to use. And let's just pick one out here. Sorry, I had a filter on for something else here. Alright, so let's just pick... Alright.
A glowing ember
Let's
is
pick a green weapon here. That's ascended. Okay, so I'm not going to use this. I don't use any green weapons at the moment. Mostly trying to use purples, but we'll see if these things have uses. But essentially, these can be crafted as well. So, and so many drop that I'm not real worried about salvaging them at the moment. So we're going to salvage this. It's already ascended, and so that gives it the ability to, when you salvage it, give ascendancy modules and upgrade parts, whereas if it's not ascended, there's not a chance of that. So let's go ahead and do that. And then you just see on the right what we got. So you're going to get a lot of materials from this. Got some upgrade parts. No modules. Alright, let's try this one. Alright, none there, but this is a great way to get those, and then that's going to allow you to ascend your items without, just acquiring those parts, doing like Woven Hall or whatever, which you are going to get a lot of, but this is where you're probably going to get most of those parts. It's just by salvaging your items that for the weapons that you don't use, and then you're going to go ahead and be able to upgrade your weapons here. Now, every time you ascend your item level further, this rating is going to go up, and that's going to increase your ship level as well. So those ratings are basically just contributing towards your ship level. They're not that important. I mean, they are, indicative of the power level, but it may not be like the best weapon for your particular ship just because the rating's higher. So you still want to pick what you want. If you're focused in on fire damage, have your weapons focused on that. You don't want to pick another weapon that does like lightning damage just because it has a higher rating. Like, you want to still craft your gear towards what you want to do, and the rating's just kind of going to go up from you, ascending it. So I wouldn't really worry about the ratings too much. That's just something that's going to occur naturally and then increase your ship level. Alright, and now while we're upgrading, we may need to come over to the refinery. Now, say I had parts that I didn't have for my next ship upgrade. I could come here and say I already, had the wood, but I needed planks made, right? So planks are what's actually going to be used for the ship. So you need to refine those here. And you could go ahead and do that, and then you can do that all the way through rare materials, purple, legendary stuff, and it'll tell you exactly what you need for that. Now, not all materials are able to be made here. There's some that you do have to go get. But this is somewhere where you're going to be doing a lot of stuff initially, where you're upgrading your ship. So you're going to be, making planks and refining linens and stuff like that. And just one real quick thing about that is that you see how it has 3 idle workers there. So for example, if we're going to make, I'll just pick deep iron here. So this takes an hour per, right? So what you want to do with that, say if you need, 3 done, right? I'm not going to put 3 in here. I'm going to put 1, and then I'm going to do it 3 times, and it's going to fill all 3 spots. So that way I get that material in an hour instead of 3 hours. Now, say if I needed 6, I could do 3 here and then go to the refinery that is up in the other den and also utilize her. And she's going to have her, I guess it's him there, and he's going to have 3 slots available too. So if you want to upgrade your ship quicker or whatever, then you can do that. If it's something you're just going to do overnight and don't care, then by all means, do them all at once. But those slots are there basically to either do multiple different things at once or just to shorten the refinery time if you need to. Alright, so now we're going to go, and she's not unlocked initially, but pretty early on she will be. This is kind of the Helm vendor here. She's also going to give you quests. She also has her sister in the other den. And this is some other information that I got from other videos that I found to be just bad information, honestly. So, what should you do if you need, say, the planks or the wood or whatever? Almost all other videos suggested that I go find that. Now I can use the codex, and I'll show you that later, to kind of identify on the map where I can find this stuff and then go get it. And if that sounds like part of the fun game to you, where you go to the area where you either cut down the wood or you go buy it at a lumber yard or whatever, and that's part of the enjoyment of the game, then by all means do that. But if you want to be efficient, I don't suggest doing that at all. If you don't have something, come here and buy it. And now, like I said, you're going to get emails while you're leveling up giving you 7,500 pieces of bait. So spending 50 to get some wood or something is not going to be much at all. So I would highly suggest using this vendor here, and if they see how it says limited stock 20, you can go to the other vendor in the other den and buy there as well. And you should be using this as much as possible for any materials you don't have, to upgrade your ships as soon as possible. And don't worry about spending the piece of 8. You're going to get that. It's going to replenish. You're going to be doing activities that give you it. Later in the game, you're maybe, I wish I had some pieces of 8, but trust me, by upgrading your ship quicker, you gain more pieces of 8 by being stronger and doing harder activities and, progressing quicker. So it shouldn't be looked at as, you want to go spend 2 hours farming wood when you could get, 5,000 pieces of 8 even at a low level during that time, and then spend 200 of it to buy the wood you needed, and had all that surplus to spend on other stuff. So don't go farm anything other than the actual currencies, right? So pieces of 8, guild marks, stuff like that. We'll go over silver in a minute. Actually, let's go over that now.
To good fortune.
All right, so I've also heard some bad advice as far as don't spend your silver. Don't buy things. Go farm it, whatever. Silver is not going to be an issue for you initially, really, until you go to sending your weapons, and then you're re-rolling your weapons, and that can cost a ton. I can go through 1 million just working on one weapon real easily. So where should you farm silver? That'll be an issue that kind of comes up once you're ascending your weapons. You're going to have plenty of silver. It's not going to be a stopping point for you until you get to that point. Your ships are going to cost a little bit of silver, but you should probably have plenty to, just kind of gain silver naturally while you're playing, and it won't run into a choke point for you. But if you do need silver, this is what I'd suggest. And again, other people have said, oh no, you never want to do this. I disagree completely. All right, go down here. You can buy a silver chest for 1 guild mark. For example, doing Wolfenhall will give you 300 guild marks, right? So if you're going to go farm silver, you shouldn't be looking at quests or trying to sell materials and, get 10,000 or 50,000 or even 100,000 silver out of that activity. Let me show you this. So we're going to buy 1. Remember, I just told you get 300 of these per Wolfenhall.
Great trust begets greater expectations.
And the guild marks come from all kinds of activities. Even just killing random little mini elites in the wild will give you guild marks. All right, so this is the chest that we just got. All right, they gave 1,700 silver, right? And this is going to vary a little bit. It'll be under 2,000, but it'll be right around there. So, for example, if we wanted to do 100 guild marks, well, that's 170,000 silver. If we wanted to spend all 300 by doing Wolfenhall, we got over 500,000 silver. You're not going to go do another activity that's going to give you anywhere near that. So that is just, other people have said, like, well, you want to spend your guild marks on something better. That's fine, but if you're spending activities where you're not getting guild marks to farm silver, that doesn't make any sense, right? Now, it would only make sense if guild marks had some finite amount that you could gain, right? But you can just keep running Wolfenhall over and over and over, right? You can go plunder stuff and get guild marks. You can go kill elites over and over, right? So there's no limit to the guild marks you can get. It's not some like, well, you're only going to get 1,000 a week, so you better spend it wisely. That's not how it works. It's just like any other currency that you can keep farming. So if I'm going to go farm silver right now, the answer to that is go do Wolfenhall, right? You're going to get over 500,000 silver by doing it once, besides, all the drops that you got along with it. So, now there is a secondary, let's go over this real quick. Now this isn't going to be, again, I wouldn't go farm for this. This is just something that you're going to get by doing other activities, and I'll go over this a little bit here. So, if you were doing these manufactories, which you should, when you do these, they're going to drop what's called Helm materials. You're going to get chests that drop Helm materials, and then you're going to be able to go over here and turn those materials into something. You have the distillery here, and you have apothecary, I believe, and the other one where you like make opium and stuff, and the other den. So these have 2 separate menus as far as what you can make. And what you can make here, there's a kingpin, they call them, which is going to be the guys that are giving you your main quest for the most part. We'll go see him in a second, and I'll show you a secondary way to make silver. Again, it shouldn't be a priority as far as let's go get this stuff so we can make the stuff so we can sell it. No, this is just if you have a surplus by doing the other activities already, then you can sell this for a decent amount of silver. So let's click on this, and we can make white skull rum, and we can use 1 sugar cane to make that, right? Okay, now say if you're doing a manufactory, maybe you get 100 sugar cane, 200, you can get up to 300 maybe, and then you could use that to make this, right? And then with this white skill. Which one is this? We can take 2 of those and make 1 of these, right? So there's also stuff in the tree to kind of multiply this a little bit. So if you max out the tree, you're going to get a chance of getting like 30% of the time you're going to make an additional product. So basically you could think of it as, once you max that out, when you're making like 100 gens, you're going to get about 130, right? And then when you're using that white skull gen to make this, which is kind of the higher level of it, you're going to get, you know, another 30% additional from that. So the base product is worth 125 silver, and the better product is worth 250. Now there's a fee here, so you'd be like, well, why would I, you know, make the better product if it costs silver to make? Well, that's why. It's because in the tree you can get a 30%, so you see it's only 10 silver to make this. So you're still coming out ahead by making the better product. So let's assume we did that. We took 100 sugar, and we turned that into the gen, and then we took the gen and made the gold skull gen, right? And we're just going to go over to the kingpin here, and I'm going to show you how to do this. This is also something that's not available right away in the game, so you'll unlock the ability to sell things to the kingpins as you're going through, and again, this is all unlocked through the main story quest, so just keep doing that. But this has been suggested as the primary way to make silver in the game, and I just don't agree with that, because the time it takes to get those materials, again, those 300 guild marks that you're going to get from Wolvenhall, turn into over 500,000 silver, you're just not going to be able to acquire, like, for example, the sugar cane and the amount that's going to give you 500,000 silver in any amount of time comparable to doing Wolvenhall once, right? But I will show you, if this sounded fun to you, you wanted to do this, great. But I would use it as a more of a secondary silver making thing. So sorry, I'm just going through the inventory here. You have your warehouse inventory, and you also have what's on your ship, and these are just filters to pull these up easier. Wrong one. All right, this is the one we want. Okay, you see how this is 125, even though it's the gold version. This is going to be 250 at the other den, so you never want to sell the wrong material to the other kingpin. So you see the 250 here. This is the stuff that we'd sell to him. This is going to be 250 at the other den if you sell to her. So so say we had 100 sugar, and we ended up turning that into, let's just do the math here real quick. Say that turned into 65. So say we got about 40 out of it, right? Cool, 10,000 silver. Now, I would still do this, I just wouldn't go out of your way to get the materials in order to make it. It's just going to happen organically by doing the manufactories, right? But you can also buy things from them. So with those materials, you can buy recipes with the gin, right, and the rum to get stuff. So if you've run out of stuff you want to buy from him, any additional products, you can sell to him, because they're not doing anything for you at that point, right? Now, they can do something else for you, and I'll kind of show you this again. These aren't
Godspeed.
efficient activities, but there are things available, and you don't want to just run Wolven Hall nonstop, right? That's going to get old. So let's go there. I'll just show you this real quick. So I'm going to go here first and kind of show you how you get more of these things. So you're going to get them from doing the manufactories, but you could also, the best way to get a lot of this stuff is to take these quests for fort plunders. And you can you see the materials. This is by completing, you know, if it's a step 7 plunder, it's by completing the 7th one. And this is going to be on top of whatever you got from the normal plunder. And you can double these up. These can, I haven't been able to triple them up, but I've had quests that go to like the same fort, right? So, you know, you're just getting twice the amount. You're completing 2 quests by plundering 1 fort. And I've also got them through the fort you kind of want to be doing anyways, right? Let me just go back there a second. See, and you see this little icon. That's a Helm icon showing I already have a fort plunder quest for this, right? So if I were doing this, besides it being worth, you know, about 2,500 pieces of 8 and you know, ascension models and you know, all the other stuff that it'll give you, I'm also going to get the quest reward at the end for doing that, and I'm going to get Helm materials, and I think it can be about 800 for these big forts. It's going to be about 400 for the other ones, and that's just for the normal stuff. They have what are they called again, that are going to be less supply here. Let's see here. Jade, that was what I was looking for. So those are worth more, so you're getting less, but you know, it's an equivalent to, you know, the other ones as well. So you see, you know, so this is 400 here, you know, this is 70. It's still, you know, about the equivalent. You're not just, you're always getting less jade than the other materials. So so anyways, that I would if you're gonna target those, that's what I would do. I'd go for the fort quests, and then you can get the materials. Now, if you feel like going on a sale, actually, let's not do this one. Now you want to take, say, the sugar or the gin or whatever. Actually, I think it's the actual gin and stuff that you want, not the base materials. But you want to go trade those in for pieces of 8 now, right? So you would load up your ship with that amount, and you'd get, in this case, 420 pieces of 8 for doing that. This would be worth a little more. Now, the problem with this is that you will be starting from one of the dens. Once you accept this quest, you can no longer fast travel. You can't always abandon the quest to get that ability back. But say for this one example, if we're in St. Anne, you know, maybe these 2 quests would be worth it, and you can just go hit those 2. Worth it, I mean, in the sense that, you know, if you're going to do it. Again, 420 pieces of 8 isn't worth much. You can go do Elite boss that you could, you know, fast travel to and get more than that, you know, much quicker, right? Plus you're losing materials. Now, some people like to just attack these ships and not actually bring the materials, and you can do that as well. You will get marked for death. You are attacking a Helm ship if you do that. But basically there's stuff in the tree where you can kind of double this up. So instead of 420, you could get up to 840 out of it, so it makes it a little better. But this is just for the roving. These are going to be ships that are kind of like in an area, and you go talk to them, and you either give them the material and they give you the pieces of 8, or you just kill them and take the pieces of 8 that they had on them. But again, you get marked for death for that, so there is a And that just means that like Helm ships are attacking you for like an hour. And so I don't care to do that, but some people want to do that. You know, they're a pirate, they want to attack that. Now the standard orders are just going to be in places that you dock at, so there's nothing to attack there. You just go talk to a guy, you know, give them the stuff, and they trade it to you. So that's not an option for these standard orders. It's only the roving orders that you're able to basically not give them anything and just kill them anyways. Okay, so that's what you can do with that stuff if you feel like it. And, you know, sometimes I do that with my brigantine. It's fast, but you just kind of want to plan ahead. You want to start in the right den when you accept the quest. And then you want to, you know, hopefully get like 2 or 3 that are kind of close to each other. And sometimes they'll just have 2 for like the standard orders that are in the same dock, right? So you can just do both at once. Great. It's a little better value out of that, right? So that's something you can do for that. But again, if you're just trying to make silver, what I showed you with the guild marks are going to be your best bet. And so, you know, if you don't want to do Woven Hall, find the next activity that gives the most guild marks per your time, and that's going to be the best way to farm silver. These other ways are just going to be, you know, secondary or tertiary at best. And again, this stuff can just be done in conjunction with what you're already doing anyways with the manufactories, because you're going to get those supplies. You can turn them into gin or rum or whatever and then sell them. But your goal wasn't to get those supplies in order to do that because you needed silver. It's just something that happened naturally, right? So that's my point. If you want silver, go get guild marks. Simple enough. All right. So now we're kind of going to go over just real quick things. We've gone over all the major things. I want to go over you see the 3 little hotkeys in the bottom, and I've been using these. These allow you to just access things from wherever when you're in the port. So for example, you never have to go to a warehouse. You just click, in this case it's circled for me, you hold that down, and you go to cargo. And this is like looking in your warehouse and switching things up. I'm just going to set the filter back to normal. And so I could just trade things back and forth with my warehouse. I never have to physically go to my warehouse. I didn't know that initially, so I'm throwing that out there. Same with sailing. You don't need to go to the exit to get out of the thing. You can just go set sail from here regardless to where you were. If you want to change which ship you're using, you can go to here and just click on another ship, and you can move all of the inventory that you have in your current ship to that one, so you don't have to like resupply it with ammo and health kits and stuff like that. So that happens automatically. I haven't had any problems with that occurring. You can switch weapons and armor or whatever furniture you wanted to do here. Cosmetics, you can do that all from this menu. So you don't need to go to the shipwright to do that stuff or whatever. So all be done from there. All right, if you want to go to your Helm kind of headquarters where you are making those, you know, using the apothecary or the distillery, that's this middle one. R1 for me. If you're on PC or Xbox, it's going to be different. And that teleports you right here. And if you want to get to just talk to her quicker, your little Helm person in here, you can just use that to teleport quicker to get this instead of walking from the entrance all the way to there. All right, if you want to see chat, this is the last one. Just go over there. I essentially never want to look at chat, so I don't do that one. But that's it for that, the hotkeys. Just make sure you're using those. You don't have to walk around and, you know, manually go to these places. You can just do it quick. If you want to fast travel, you can just go to the map. And you can't fast travel everywhere, but if there's an event, you can do that. If you want to go to a place where you can dock, you can fast travel there. And always do that. Don't waste your time. You know, again, when you can get 500,000 silver in one event for 10 minutes, you don't want to sweat over spending, you know, hundreds of silver to do things quicker in the game. You're just going to make up that money much quicker by bouncing around the map than sailing around. If you just like sailing around, then again, you do you, but that's not how you're going to be efficient. All right, so now let's go out here and look at a couple things. I'm going to set sail. This is stuff I just didn't realize until I'd played a little while, so I just kind of want to show you a couple things here. All right, so you can move. And if you get stuck, you can keep doing this. You'll continue to move without being sailing anywhere, right? Now you see the X there, and it's showing 0. I'm just going to call these speeds 1 through 3. Now, if you want to turn quicker, you're always going to turn quicker by doing 1. So at speed 1, you're turning the quickest, right? And then we can go to speed 3. You can either hold this down or click it a few times. I want to get out of the dock here, so holding down the anchor button doesn't do the same thing as dock. All right, now if you want to stop as quick as possible, just hold down the anchor button and stop moving. Don't move anything else. I'll show you. That was me stopping by doing that. Now let's try it while we're moving, and I'll show you the difference here. So say I want to turn while doing that. Let's get up to full speed. So I'm turning, and now I'm stopping. See how I just keep moving? I'm not really stopping. Even though I'm anchored, I'm not going at speed. So you kind of need to stop moving to stop. And then if you want to turn around or relocate, again, I would go to speed 1. That's going to make you turn quicker, right? All right, another thing is bracing. This is strongest on the tank archetypes, but you do want to learn how to do this. World Tier 1, most of the time you're not even going to bother. But bracing is your shield. Now you see the blue bar on the left, and you also see the green bar on top. That's going to be your endurance. The bracing shield here, it's going to show up. You hold it down, and you see how the green bar is depleting there. And we can just get that back. And also regenerates by being stopped. Now, if you're sailing at full speed, that endurance won't go up. So you're going to deplete endurance by using your shield, and then if we were to have taken damage there, that shield's going to go down. The tanks have a much higher shield capacity than the other ships, but it is something that you're going to want to get used to on a lot of ships. And a lot of attacks are going to be telegraphed from like mortars or whatever. You're going to see circles on the ground. They're going to start blinking when they're about to hit, and that's when you'd want to shield. Or if someone's about to broadside you or something like that, you want to hold it down all the time. But again, you want to get used to doing it. You're gonna need to use it at least somewhat in World Tier 2 because the damage is going to escalate quite a bit. All right, we went over salvaging your ascended weapons. If you need silver, again, go get some guild marks and buy the chest. But if you want to sell your weapons, so be it. But the best thing you're going to want to do is salvage those to get the parts. Now let's go over treasure maps. Now these are going to show up in your journal. And you're just going to acquire these from doing whatever. I don't even know where I get them. And you can have up to 5 at a time, so I have all 5. And you see they say recent next to it. They can show older, very old, or whatever. The older they are, the better they are. Regardless, these are worthless. Don't do these unless you really have fun doing them. But basically, you're gonna go to a port somewhere where you can dock, and then you're gonna dig up treasure. You're gonna have to wander around and find the spot. I think there's either a spot on each port where it is, or maybe there's like 3 different ones and it's random where it spawns. I'm not sure, but these are next to worthless. I think this is a mechanic they had in, initially that sounded fun. It does sound fun, where you find out where the treasure is and you dig it up. But they're worth like the recent ones, which are the worst ones. They're worth like 1,500 silver. If you were to port, you figured out where this treasure was and say it was right here. You would port here for like 750 and then maybe port back to where you were for another 750. And so essentially you just dug up a chest to teleport around and waste your time, right? So what I would do with these, and you can hold up to 5, I just ignore them. Let's go here. So this is a port we can dock at. Alright, so right when we docked, if we had a treasure map that was for this area, it would have set it right off the top when we docked. And if, you know, maybe we thought we saw it, but we missed it, we could undock and do it again to make sure it was here. In that case, you can dig it up if you want. Honestly, I'm at the point where I'm not even sure I want to go find the thing to dig it up. It might not be worth 1,500 silver to walk around this map. You know, usually it's like, you know, in the furthest spot or something, but sometimes it spawns like, you know, you just see it and it'll be this red glowing kind of like a mark that you put on the map. It'll look like that. It'll be orangish yellow, and you go over to the spot and it says dig, and you dig it up, and the animation is quite long that you can't get rid of too, and then you'll get it. Now the older the treasure map, the better the treasure, but I think like I had the oldest one and it maybe gave like 4,000 silver or something, so and that one wasn't, it was much harder to find if you wanted to locate. The other ones kind of tell you which port it's going to be at. So basically that's how I'd interact with treasure maps. It's just if you happen to go to the fort and it tells you there's a treasure in this port, okay, you can go dig it up if you want, but that's about it. Now that does not mean that we don't want to do, there's legendary treasure chests that pop up. Let's see if this is it. No, that's something else. Okay, those are worth doing, and those basically where you can't fast travel it either. It's a PvP thing. I think up to 2 people can connect. Those will have like 50,000 silver and, you know, have pieces 8, and, you know, so if you want something to mix it up, I still wouldn't call it efficient as far as, you know, what the best activity to do is, but you know, it's worth much more than, you know, you're not going to get 1,500 silver out of doing that one. So that one is going to give you much better rewards. But that's an event that happens on the you know, the map. It's not going to be a treasure map that you happen to find. It's going to be an event that pops up that you see. Alright, so let's go over all the menu options. Just kind of look at them real quick, go through them, show you what each of them shows you. Alright, so here we have the what you're going to use your smuggler points for. Now every 1,000 smuggler points you get, you're going to get a token to spend on one of these 3 categories. Now you can't jump within the categories, so you're going to start at level 1, but you can spend you know, the points in whichever category you want. So you could spend 10 here and then go 5 here and whatever. For me, I play quite a bit, so I just figured I was going to get all of them eventually, so I didn't really pay attention to, you know, what I was unlocking. But if you're only going to play, you know, a certain amount, or towards the end of the season, then, you know, maybe you want to look through this and be like, I want to target this and go through this tree or whatever. And then you have the battle pass here. This works with the same smuggler points. So every 1,000 you're going to get a point. Once you spend that point in the previous menu there, you're going to work towards these. So, you know, at 10 you're going to get this reward and whatever. And then this is the frigate. This is 45 points in, and then it caps out at 90. And again, there was 30 for each of the other ones, so that makes sense, right? So by spending those points on the previous menu, you'll get these. All right, once you max that out with 90, you see on the upper right here, I have 15 points. You continue to get smuggler points, and so you continue to get, you know, a point for every 1,000, and then you can spend this on this stuff here, so you can you know, still get something once you're maxed out with your 90 smuggler tokens. I was going to buy this probably. This is what I was saving for. It looked interesting as a weapon that I haven't seen. So I was going to buy the blueprint for that, and looks like I have enough points for that, so maybe I'll do that later. Okay, here's the challenge menu. This is what we were speaking with before. If you actually wanted to target smuggler points, this is where you would want to do it. So if you wanted to get your frigate blueprint unlocked, for example, quicker, you can come here and look through challenges that you haven't completed yet, and you see the amount there on the left, 3,000 there, 2,000, 1,000. So by doing these, you can progress your pass quickly, and they do have weekly. They'll reset, and then also there's just the seasonal that you're not gonna reset here. So but they usually have tiers, so as you're doing this, again, you can target something that you want to do. For example, maybe there's one that get 10 plunders, so you go do that and you get 1,000 points or 2,000 or whatever. So that can be a way to go through the battle pass quicker if that's what you want to do. But this is the best place to look for that. You get these rewards, which give little bonuses, kind of like potions and Diablo or something. But for example, say you're going to go attack a bunch of elite enemies on the map, you can put this on. It'll have a duration. This duration will just be straight time. So if you log off, it's not going to be there, tomorrow or something. So if you're going to play for a bit and you want a little bit of bonus for something an activity that you're doing, you can use one of these, and you get these bonuses through the battle pass and through some other ways. This is kind of just showing you how this stuff works. So if you want to read that. All right, and here we have the leaderboards. I believe because I turned off crossplay a few days ago when logins were not working very well, this is just showing PlayStation ranks right here. So, if you're wondering where you place on here, you can look in here. Not really something I care about. Okay, obviously here's the map. Here's where you're going to interact with most things. Zoom out, zoom in. You'd see events. If they're blinking, means somebody called for help, and if you want to go help them, this is glowing down here because it's the active quest that I have in the journal that I'm tracking, and that's about it here. Next one is the Helm Empire. Here's where you're going to see where your takeovers every 20 minutes pop up. You're going to be able to interact with your manufactories. You can put silver back into running these or whatever, and you can upgrade them or see how much materials I have if you need to send out a ship to go get it or whatever. And then you can access the tree through this menu as well. You don't have to go back to your Helm area in a den to actually see this. You can just access this directly. You never have to go there. And then you have your warehouse. Now, I normally wouldn't interact with this through this menu. I would do it through the dock menu here. So that way you're interacting with your warehouse while you look, and that way if you're moving stuff over or whatever, it's going to your warehouse instead of throwing it away or just opening chests. You can't do as much if you're not also interacting with your warehouse. So that's mostly how you're going to want to interact with that menu. All right, here's where you can see like achievements and stuff, see what kingpin level you're at. You see once you get to a certain kingpin level, I think maybe 20, 25, you stop getting rewards, so I haven't really been getting much. You have to get to kingpin 100 for your next one, right? So those rewards pretty much stop coming, but by then you'll be able to make all the, the currency and get the products that you need for upgrading your ships and whatever. So it's a good helpful boost, getting those rewards while you level up, but it's not something you're going to need later. So the codex is nice, and you can also use it for say if you just want to look up armors that you didn't know existed. You can look up here, look for the best one, and then click it. And you're going to see where you can go get this armor. You see on the right side, right? So this is looks like this one I already have the recipe, so it's showing me what I need. I could also track this, so it could show me, you know, so I'm just aware of what I need for this at all times if I wanted to do that. But this can be a good place to kind of like, you know, where do I get this material? And it'll tell you where you get it. And it'll even mark the map for you if you want to track it. All right, this is just showing you kind of what the events are doing at the time. And this is the calendar. So for example, I'm looking forward to this Piece of 8 weekend. So you see when that's going to happen. We just had it says double silver, but it was actually 1.5 silver event over the last weekend. So I opened a bunch of chests and got a few million out of that one. But you can kind of look forward and see what's planned here, and you know, if you want to see what's coming up. There's nothing to click on here to like get more information or anything, but you know, you can kind of get an idea of what they're looking at. All right, so that's it for the menus. All right, one last thing I want to show you guys is this, because I didn't know you could do this. I watched a YouTube video. Someone said you could do this, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I wish I would have known that. All right. So anyways, these are manufactories are producing pieces of 8. The maximum that a ship can take for you is 610. That's like a level 11 through 15, I think, can take that. So this has 630. So this, if I send a ship to pick this up, it'll be the max amount that it can do, right? So I'm just going to send my my level 15 bark to go do this. I'm going to assign it. It's taking it. Now you can unassign it. It's still going to do it. It's just not going to be assigned to this port anymore. And what's important with that is, say you wanted to take the ship out and use it, or you wanted to upgrade it or whatever, it's not going to be available. It's just going to be sitting in this port. Now that's not too hard to deal with. Like, you see the little ship icon, you can go find it, or you could just reassign it somewhere else where it wouldn't do anything and then just unassign it, right? So it's not that big of a deal, but I would suggest, you know, once you get to this point, yeah, just do it like that. Just unassign it immediately. You know, unless it's somewhere where you're like, I always want a ship assigned to this for some reason, like it's making Ascension parts for you or something like that. Okay, but otherwise, you know, if it's just picking up pieces of 8, just unassign it right away. It doesn't have to keep the assignment there, and then that ship's available for whatever, you know, you might want it for later. Okay, I think that is it for the basics. Certainly a long-winded video, sorry. So I appreciate you listening, and I hope you guys got something out of it. And you know, for the 1 or 2 people that watched, yeah, feel free to like, subscribe, and even better, tell me what you got out of the video, or better yet, what you would have liked to have gotten out of the video instead. All right, thanks a lot.